the film Indian Rupee, directed by Ranjit, starring Prithvi Raj and Rima Kallingal. And I should mention another important character, that's Thilagan. As a matter of fact, Thilagan forms the central core of the film, because it is thanks to his intervention at various stages in the movie that makes the movie interesting to watch. It's a rather complicated plot, and I'm glad that it's slightly complicated, because if it went for those little complications, it would be a bore. Here, the story writers, along with the director, obviously, must have spent many nights and days trying to figure out how to make it so full of complications that it is interesting while it doesn't confuse the audience. Because once you make a film really complex with things happening throughout the movie, it may be difficult for you to end up figuring out what exactly is going on. But here, in spite of the complications, Ranjit has written a story, directed it, which leaves everybody satisfied that, okay, there's no loose ends lying here and there. It's a story of a young man who is not actually looking to get rich in a hurry. It's just that he's in that kind of business, the real estate business. Everybody knows the power of real estate today. People who, whose grandfather bought a small plot of land somewhere in a city and even abandoned it for decades, suddenly find themselves, becoming, millionaires, zillionaires, just because the price of land has increased. And the people who actually get these two sides together, that means the buyer and the seller, are the real estate agents. So here in this film, we have a young man, played by Prithvi Raj, who's a real estate agent. And he and his friend, they've been struggling for years because real estate is such a critical thing. And in a way, Ranjit has done a favor to real estate agents by actually showing how they operate. It's not only that they get a buyer and a seller together. To convince both sides of the need for that transaction to take place, the careful maneuvering that goes in to ensure that they don't back out once it starts, the documentation work that goes on, and of course the rivalry among real estate agents, all that's brought out in this story called the Indian Rupee. It's a moral tale in the sense there are some good values shown in it. It's not just money making is the ultimate objective, though that is there. And in the movie, the hero, that's Prithvi Raj, is in love with his own cousin, who's a doctor. And in typical fashion, her father is not too keen on her daughter marrying his nephew, who's not penniless really, but not doing too well. And while she's fully convinced that he's the right guy for her, the family isn't. But he's very confident, and he says, well, it's a matter of time before I strike my big deal, so I'm going to keep persisting at it. In a way, there is a kind of story there from the director that, listen, nothing is above and beyond a man's capacity, provided he's willing to put his shoulder to the wheel and keep at it. The critical thing is to keep at it, not just get disheartened just because one deal didn't go through or one project fails. Don't give up. That's the central core of the story. And in the middle of all that comes Thilagan, who literally wanders into Prithvi Raj's life when he says that he's got some property that he wants to sell and he would like this man to deal with it. And he's not your average customer. He seems to be, an old man abandoned by his family with no background, etc. But when they go to see the house that he's talking about, they realize that he's no ordinary man. And in the course of the film, Thilagan does show that he is not an ordinary man. In fact, he was once married to a very, very wealthy woman, and he left her because she was getting to be too stifling, maybe bullying him. And then he marries another woman, but that's jumping the story. The main thing is, even this old man finds that he is still capable of doing good for others, not just his own family, but to other people. And he uses his brains. I mean, he's obviously had some experience in various kinds of legal work. So he suggests a way out for Prithvi Raj to complete a deal. The deal is the sale of a an estate, a coffee estate up in Markara in Coorg. So from then on, the story takes an interesting turn because the same amount of money which is handed over to clinch one deal then goes on to get involved in many, many other deals. And each time the same 25 lakh moves on from here to there, solving many problems, opening many doors, and finally concludes in a satisfactory note for Prithviraj. Of course, the director feels obligated to make sure that this guy doesn't come out looking like a money-hungry soul. So he makes him do something very grand at the end, which is to say that, well, I don't need that kind of money. I'll be satisfied with, a fair bit. And that probably is a lesson for youngsters watching the movie. I'm sure many of them must have left the theatre saying that Ranjit has totally lost it. How can anybody say no to that kind of money, particularly when he's earned it? But Prithviraj shows that, okay, yes, he may have earned it in the true sense of the word, but actually he has not. It's been a bit of chicanery, a little bit of, clever talk. So he feels that he shouldn't take it. And of course, he's ably supported him. And his girlfriend, Rima, agrees that, yes, I think that's the right way to go. So the film ends satisfactorily. There are very touching moments. Thilagan, of course, master at his own craft. He plays the role of an older man who's got children to look after, and one who's, I wouldn't know what to call him. He's not insane, probably autistic, who keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. It does get irritating to have an autistic child who continues to say the same thing over and over again. But he does it without making the guy do irritating things. It's more like you feel a sense of pity for the boy's mother, played by Kalpana. And she doesn't have any super funny things to say, unlike her normal role. But here she's a mother of a handicapped child, and Thilagan is the father. So while he is on one side trying to secure the future of his handicapped son and his wife, tragedy strikes, many things happen. Very well-crafted movie. It's got fine conversations, good music particularly, and Prithviraj, what can one say about him? He's growing in stature every day. He pulls this off. As a matter of fact, the interesting thing is, these were the kind of movies which took Malayalam to great heights 10, 15 years ago, when Mohanlal was at his peak. He used to do stories like this about characters, people in different types of jobs, whether they could be contractors, they could be people working in the post office, people working in the government office, simple people who are real people. And Mohanlal brings a certain kind of life into them, and I can still remember his expressions as he deals with government officials and other people. So Prithviraj tries a movie like that. I think he succeeds to a great extent, but he's got that handicap of being always an action hero. So he's got to get over that and be able to sink into the role of an average man. So that will come with time. But it's a great attempt, and Ranjit and the cast should be commended for the film. Extremely good. It's called Indian Rupee.